Some women need flowers. Elise needed fire. She didn't want to be held. She wanted to be consumed. Her husband gave her structure, stability, a home. But what's a home without heat? But when a woman like Elise is left unfed for too long, she doesn't wither. She wanders. And one day, she wandered right into Malik, a man whose flame matched her own. Their deal was simple. He'd give her words, sweet ones, dirty ones, scripted or sincere. She'd give him everything else. But what do you do when the words turn sacred? And the body starts listening to what the heart was told to ignore? This is a velvet tale, where romance bleeds, temptation breathes, and love never plays fair. The club's decor was elaborate, yet simple. Something about it whispered sex dungeon. The deep crimson walls, soaked in mood lighting, and black velvet curtains caught every flicker of candlelight. White roses bloomed from tall glass vases, their scent thick in the air, laced with the ache of R&B, and the words of poets floated like clouds, heavy and ever-present. It was the kind of place built for indulgence, where time softened and romance felt just a little more possible. Elise walked in alone, though a friend from her art circle had invited her. She wore black, like always. Tonight, her dress clung to her like a second skin. She wasn't there to be admired, but that didn't stop heads from turning. There was something about the way she moved, smooth, seductive, like a woman who knew what it meant to hunger and hide it. She slipped into a small table near the back, tucked behind a flickering pillar candle and a half glass of champagne. Her eyes scanned the room without urgency until she heard the voice. It came from the stage, low and seductive. Even before the words took shape, a tall man stood beneath the spotlight, dark skin glowing bronze beneath it, posture calm but magnetic. He didn't look like he was about to perform. He looked like he was about to confess. She didn't ask for love, he began. She just wanted someone to sit in the silence with her, to memorize the shadow she hides in, to kiss her before she breaks, and again once she's in pieces. The words found her before she had the chance to brace herself. Something inside her fluttered, a tremble she hadn't invited but welcomed anyway. Elise wasn't new to poetry or to passion, but this felt different. This wasn't just spoken word. This was the language of her body remembered, the kind that once made her believe in something wild and rare. When he stepped down and vanished into the velvet folds of the room, she turned to her friend with wide eyes and a half laugh, as if to say, "What the hell just happened?" "His name's Malik," her friend whispered, already grinning. "He's like that every damn time." Later, he descended from the back, shaking hands, signing books. That beautiful magnetic smile flashed like it belonged to him and only him. He flirted easily, instinctively, holding waists, kissing foreheads, saying what women wanted to hear in ways that didn't sound cheap. But Elise saw something else. He was attractive, charismatic, talented, but she wasn't drawn to his charm. She was drawn to the ache behind it. Something about him made her want him, but not the way she had wanted men before. She didn't crave a quick encounter, not even a one-night stand. She wanted something harder to explain, a glimpse behind the concrete wall she was sure he guarded his heart with. She wanted the mess of him spilled into her ears. She wanted his confessions, to hear what the darkest corners of his heart sounded like. Needless to say, she wanted him bare and raw. He moved toward her like the room was his stage and she was the next line of his poem. As he introduced himself, she felt the smile already forming on her lips, hungry for the sound of his voice. Closer now, and even more hypnotic. Off stage, his voice wasn't rehearsed. It was curious. It painted intimacy on women's hearts, especially those who'd forgotten how to be seen. Women like Elise. But this was different. When they faced each other, she felt stillness, a sense of familiarity he hadn't offered the others. He hadn't rushed. With her, he lingered. He listened. Their conversation unfolded in the quiet corner of the venue like soft jazz. They shared a mutual admiration for Langston Hughes and stories of artists who used grief like ink. They even talked about creativity like it was a wounded friend, art like it was a blood relative, and desire like it was a former lover neither of them had quite gotten over. The air between them turned into a canvas, and their chemistry painted bold hues of red and orange, with streaks of gold. Something sacred passed between them as their minds mingled. It wasn't quite love, but it had a scent. So when he leaned in slightly and asked, "Can I call you sometime?" She wasn't surprised. But still, her smile faltered. "I'm married," she said softly. Her voice dipped in regret. He didn't blink, didn't pull back in shame, didn't push forward in arrogance. He simply nodded, slowly, like he had expected the answer, but hoped to be wrong. "I respect that," he said, "but I won't forget you." And from the look in his eyes, she knew he meant it. The clink of silverware against ceramic was the only sound in the room. David sat across from her, chewing with the focus of a man who saw meals as nothing more than fuel. The lights were warm. The food was plated like a painting, but between them, a fog. Not the pretty kind that dances in the morning, but the kind that swallows everything whole. Gray, heavy, thick enough to smother the light. She watched him, not with anger, not even with hurt anymore. Just the quiet ache of someone who's waited too long for something that would never come. "Do you ever miss us?" she asked, already knowing the warmth she needed wouldn't come. David looked up, blinking like he hadn't heard her right. "What do you mean?" "When we were young, when we'd hold each other like we were lovers, just meeting for the first time. How we loved on the edge of lust, like every kiss might be the last." David chuckled. Keyword, young. Something we're not anymore. "What's the point of staying together if we let time dull the pulse of passion?" He sighed and reached for his water. "Elise, come on. We're not 25 anymore. I've got a lot on my plate. Work's been insane." She let silence sit for a second. Let it press against the air like humidity. "You always have a lot on your plate." "I'm building a future for us," he said, his voice tightening. 6 more years, and I retire. Then I'll have all the time in the world to give you what you need." She whispered, more to herself than him. "I miss it. I love the comfort of mature love, but I still need the chaos of young love, the kind that's messy and impulsive and full of fire. I need that part of us back. I need you." He set his fork down, the sound too loud in the quiet. "Look, I'm tired. I don't have the energy for this tonight." Of course, it was never the right time, never the right moment. She was always asking for too much. But all she wanted was to be looked at the way he used to look at her, to be touched like she still mattered, to be loved like passion wasn't a phase, but a practice. Instead, he stood up, kissed her forehead out of habit, and disappeared into his office. Elise sat there, alone at the table, staring at her barely touched food. Some women could live with being unseen. She had tried to be one of them. But the silence was louder now than it had ever been. Elise sat at her favorite table in her favorite restaurant, drinking her favorite cocktail, a Bloody Mary with extra vodka, two celery stalks, fresh sliced jalapeno, and tagine on the rim. She was a regular at Nevin's, a downtown restaurant with a vibe that matched her home. Plush red furniture, luxurious chandeliers, sheer crimson curtains, black walls, and gold framed windows that invited sunlight in like it was a cherished customer. Her earbuds masked the chatter and the romantic R&B vocals of artists like her, Coco Jones, and Snow Allegra. She'd typed his name into the search bar hours ago and had been binge watching him like he was her favorite show. Malik Ellis. Video after video. His voice poured through her like something forbidden, gentle, powerful, too honest, too familiar. Have you ever kissed somebody so deeply it feels like your lips found home? Don't just take off my clothes. Take your time with my truth. That's the part I want you to see. She pressed play again and again. Her fingers curled into her glass, but didn't lift it. In another clip, he spoke about connection like it was oxygen. Some women ain't looking for just sex or love. They want to be wanted with intention. Like their body ain't just a body, but a prayer somebody finally answered. Elise wiped a tear before it reached her cheek. The material was presented as content, but to her, it was a meal she hadn't been served in years. Malik got it. She knew it that night, but seeing him now, watching him pour the words she'd been desperate to drink, made her addicted to his poison. This wasn't about cheating. Not yet. This was about being reminded she was still a woman, still capable of feeling something. And tonight, with nothing more than words, he'd done what her husband hadn't done in years. Touched the part of her that forgot it still had a pulse. Elise had just clicked replay again when the hostess walked by, pausing just long enough to tilt her head. "You're a fan?" she asked, nodding towards Elise's phone. Elise blinked, caught in the act. "Yeah, he's..." She paused, looking down at the screen. "Undeniable." The hostess smiled. "That's Malik's usual booth in the back. He's here tonight." Her breath caught like it tripped on itself. She turned slowly, eyes moving before her body followed, and there he was. Malik Ellis. Not just a face, not just a voice, but a presence. He was sitting in the booth like he owned every inch of it. Long limbs stretched out, black tee hugging his broad shoulders, one hand wrapped around the glass, the other scrolling through his phone like the world could wait. His beard was shaped perfectly, but not like he was trying too hard. Like he just stayed that fine. Their eyes met. She looked away, then back again, because it was too late to pretend she wasn't looking. And just like that, he rose from the booth, walked over like he'd been planning to anyway, and stopped beside her table. "You always stare at men like that while they eat?" he asked, grinning, voice dipped in velvet and mischief. Elise smirked. "Only when the fries look seasoned." He laughed, the kind that came from the chest. "You got jokes. All right, cool." He motioned to the empty chair. "Mind if I sit?" She gestured towards it with a raised brow. "Do I look like I mind?" He slid in smoothly, like he belonged in the space next to her. They sat in a moment of easy silence, the kind that usually takes time to earn. "So," he said, nodding toward her phone, "you've been watching me like I'm Netflix. That means I got rewatch value or just something to fill the silence?" She smiled. "Both. Have you ever heard something so powerful that it feels like you said it? Like it came from your own soul? That's what your words do. They hit so deep, I forget I'm just the one listening. And the way you say them, it sounds like you mean every word." "I do," he said. "I don't just talk to hear my own voice. I'm not out here saying pretty words with no meaning. If I speak, It's because I've got something real to say. She looked at him for a moment. You were always this smooth? No. Sometimes I stutter, he said, smirking, usually when I'm feeling something real. They both laughed, lightly at first, then more softly. He watched her for a beat, then tilted his head. You good, Elise? I mean, not how's your day good. I mean, deep down, where the quiet lives. You good there? She opened her mouth, closed it, then shrugged slowly. Honestly, I don't know. I've been fine, but I'd like to be happy. He nodded, his expression shifting into something tender. I feel invisible sometimes, she admitted, like I'm living in parentheses, because the world moves around me, but never through me. Malik leaned in just slightly, arms resting on the table. Damn, he said, that's a heavy kind of lonely. It is, she said. I miss softness. I miss feeling like a work of art, not just the background. I miss feeling like I take up space, the kind that matters. He nodded slowly. I see you, he said, eyes locked on hers, voice low and deliberate. And you are art, not background, not filler. I got canvases I charge thousands for, but none of them hold a candle to the kind of beauty you carry. Elise blinked, blinking back the tears that burned behind her lashes. Why do you talk like that? She asked, smiling to keep from unraveling. Like a song that ain't been written yet. Because I see too many women loved in half measures, he said. Women who forgot they were sacred. I don't know how to be around that and not speak life. She swallowed hard. You're dangerous, she murmured. He smiled again, softer this time. Nah, I'm just awake. A long silence settled between them, but it didn't feel awkward. It felt like exhale. Then Malik leaned in just a little more, elbows on the table, voice dropping into a near whisper. You ever meet somebody and it feels like your spirit exhaled? He waited. That's what this feels like. I don't know what you're running from, Elise. But if you ever want to stop, just for a night. He hesitated, adjusting his jacket like he was choosing his words with care. Come by the loft. I ain't trying to fix you. I want the pleasure of being a distraction from your sadness. For a little while. His voice didn't pull. It offered. She didn't answer right away. A man who didn't run from sadness? That was rare. She couldn't remember the last time David even noticed her heavy sighs at the dinner table, or the way her head hung a little lower these days. But Malik noticed, and that was worth her time. She looked at him, studied the man in front of her, like he was a painting she wasn't ready to walk away from. And finally, she nodded once. Elise unlocked the front door to the home she shared with David and was met with a cold silence. She had a long day at the gallery. Pieces had gone missing, some hadn't arrived on time, and others were damaged in a delivery accident. Stressful, dragging days like this used to end with laughter and wine. She missed the times she and David were close, when she could confide in him and be held, not just heard. The sun still shined inside the spacious home she'd worked so hard to decorate. Golden hour draped the walls with its honeyed light, but the warmth didn't reach her. The chill of loneliness always seeped in. She decided to treat herself to a bath while the sun still had energy to spray its rays of happiness across her home. The warm bathwater embraced her mahogany skin like a liquid lover, spilling over every private space she hadn't felt a touch on in a long time. The steam rose like a lullaby, soothing her sadness with a constant warmth that kissed the parts the water couldn't reach. She sipped her Bloody Mary and watched a video her friend had shared on Facebook. Malik at an open mic night. She sings the song of a lover's cry as I caress the parts of her that are hidden. She hums as I enter the spaces no other man has been able to reach, and she tugs at my soul with her song, singing my name like it's a hymn. Making love should never be ordinary when you're inside your lover's mind. Elise felt her body respond to the words as if he were physically in the room. His voice lingered long after the video ended, and her skin remembered the sensation of his hand on her arm. The uncontrollable urge to release at just the sound of his voice pulled her into a place where the real world no longer existed. There were only splashes of color and his face. When the release came, it was sudden and jarring, her body trembling in the water as waves of lust crashed into her hand. Her head fell back against the edge of the tub, gasping for air she wasn't ready to breathe. And when her pulse slowed, regret crept in. David had been the only man she craved for years. But here, in this room, in this moment, Malik had become the drug she needed most. How was that? It hadn't even been a week. She rushed out of the tub, water trailing down her thighs as she grabbed a robe and chugged the rest of her Bloody Mary, like it might drown the feelings clawing their way to the surface. The room still pulsed with the sound of Malik's voice, even though the video had ended minutes ago. His words clung to her skin more intimately than the steam. She picked up her phone, thumb hovering, not over Malik's name, though she wanted to, but over David's, the man she had vowed her life to, the man who used to be her peace. She called. Voicemail. Again. She didn't leave a message. What was the point? If he wanted to hear her voice, he'd answer, but he didn't. She changed into one of his college t-shirts, the fabric worn and stretched from years of memories that no longer felt like hers. Sliding under the covers, she pulled the comforter to her chin. The sheets were cold. The other side of the bed is untouched. This wasn't new. This was normal. And yet, tonight, it scraped at something raw. Her hand found the empty pillow beside her. She clutched it, but there was no scent, no weight, no warmth, just absence. Her eyes didn't tear up. She was past that. But something stirred in her, quiet and unfamiliar. Something awakened in the space Malik had unknowingly cracked open. She turned toward the wall, heart heavy but restless. Her body remembered softness. Her soul remembered poetry. And Malik's words, they didn't just linger. They comforted her in those lonely moments. And maybe that was the part that scared her the most, because for the first time in a long time, her sadness didn't feel fatal, but like a sickness that could be cured. Malik's loft was exactly as she imagined it, chaotic, beautiful, and laced with a scent of oil paint and masculine spice. Art covered every surface, spilling from canvases stacked against the walls to half-finished sketches tacked onto corkboard panels. Music hummed from a vintage speaker. Miles Davis, soft and sultry, the notes curling like smoke through the space. He handed her a glass of red and gestured toward a canvas near the window. This is what I was working on when I met you. Elise stepped closer. A painting of a woman, head tilted back, throat exposed, eyes closed in surrender. It wasn't her, but it could have been. It's stunning, she said softly. So are you. The word struck something tender. She flinched, just slightly, like he'd grazed an old bruise. She moved toward the window to mask her reaction, sipping her wine as she admired the glittering city lights. I miss this, she said, creating something from feeling. You don't? I used to. Now I just facilitate the sale of other people's passion projects. Is that all you want? He asked, voice velvety smooth. No, her answer was immediate. But my time is tied up. I give so much that no one notices when I disappear. Malik turned back to the canvas, dipping his brush in crimson. You'd be hard for me to forget, he said, a gleam of care flickering in his eyes. You don't have to settle for anything. That's the whole point of being an artist. Yes, create art, but we're also the designers of our own lives. Your desire should be at the center of everything you build or take part in, Elise. Remember that. She nodded slowly, her fingers trailing along the edge of a nearby easel. The weight of his words pressed against something buried inside her. She was hyper aware of his presence, how close he stood, the quiet intensity in his voice, the smell of paint and possibility. He painted in silence while she wandered through the space, letting the hum of creativity settle over her like a warm blanket. Her phone vibrated. David. The name and a picture of them on their wedding day lit the screen in bright, stark letters. Malik saw it. He didn't speak, just glanced once, then turned to his brushstrokes. Elise stared at the screen, watching it ring, and go silent. She didn't move to answer it. I should go, she said quietly. Of course. She walked to the door slowly, as if unsure whether she wanted to leave the warmth of this moment for the cold she knew was waiting at home. Good night, Malik. Don't forget me, Elise, he said, turning as his eyes met hers. His voice wrapped around her like a whisper meant for more than just air. She hesitated at the door, caught in a gaze that burned with tension and promise. A gaze no married woman should ever share with someone like Malik. Her name on his tongue felt like poetry and sin. The conference room upstairs was a world of its own. Glass, steel, and soft textures woven together with intention. Large windows overlooked the city's heartbeat, and a curated arrangement of vintage and modern pieces anchored the space with effortless elegance. Malik stepped inside slowly, eyes scanning the room with reverence. This space is beautiful, he said, walking toward a deep red velvet armchair. Let me guess. You decorated it. Elise stood near the window with a glass of leftover champagne, watching him with measured calm. Of course I did. I needed a space that felt like mine, like truth. He looked around again. Brass accents, sharp reds, moody textures whispering secrets beneath sophistication. You're really good at this. Interior design, I mean. She shrugged, taking a sip. It's not design. It's control. I can't control the chaos of my life, but I can make a room obey. A soft laugh escaped him. That's not control. That's vision. She turned to face him fully now. No more pretense. You still haven't asked why you're here. He met her gaze, steady. Because I wanted to see you. No, she said, stepping forward. You're here because I wanted you here. Because I made a phone call. Because I curated this moment the same way I curated that art downstairs. He paused, blinking once. I brought you to the gallery, she continued, voice low but razor sharp. Not for business, but for this. For us. Silence thickened the air between them. She set the glass down, crossing the room like gravity had turned her toward him. I've been unraveling, she confessed. And you? You are the only thing I've touched lately that feels like thread strong enough to hold me together. Elise. No, she cut in, firm but not cold. Let me say it. She inhaled deeply. I'm not offering love. I'm not offering promises. What I am offering is presence, an escape that feels like coming home. I want the part of you that whispers poetry in broken rooms, the part that sees me in ways I've forgotten how to see myself. His mouth opened slightly, but no words came. I want your fire, Malik, she continued. Your words, your hands, your attention. In return, I'll give you everything that's left of me that still feels real. He swallowed hard, tension rippling through his chest. I'm inviting you into something dangerous.